super excited. We got a hold of Jeff Guthrie, one of the owners of Phoenix Roofing and Repair. We're out at his house today. We're going to do a redemption blueprint story on him. He's got an awesome story. He was in prison, came to work for Pro West. Him and his brother opened up Phoenix Roofing and Repair. Got an incredible story, but I noticed a couple things about his roof when we pulled up, and I sent him a text message and was like, dude, I got to get up there and inspect your roof. So Pro West is here on behalf of Redemption Blueprint, inspecting Phoenix Roofing and Repair. Oh, here he comes right now, the man, the myth, the legend himself. This is Jeff Guthrie. We got to grow up.
You're crazy.
Pro West is in the house.
What's up,
Good
dude?
to see
How
you,
you doing?
Yeah.
Pro West is who the pros use when they need help.
Dude, I think this is super cool. Thank you for letting us come over here and do this.
Of course.
And when we met at New Freedom out there, what is that called? What are they doing over there?
Gosh,
It's
man.
like a workshop or something. We're having like a roofer's workshop where they're New Freedom, the super
I think it was a job fair.
job fair. Yes.
Yeah, over
Yep.
at New Freedom. So there's all kinds of vendors there looking to put people on that have been,
Previously incarcerated.
right.
Yep. The New Freedom, super successful place. A lot of guys go there on the transition program. And then we ran into each other finally because I met you at SVG boot camp,
Years ago.
2021.
Yeah.
Yep. And then finally we were able to catch back up in New Freedom, which was super cool. And you're there with DJ Cruz. Big shout out to DJ Cruz.
DJ Cruz. Great DJ.
And-
Hype man.
yeah.
You got a loyal dude. I offered him $50,000 to come on board. He said no.
Hey, he's the best, man.
And then when we met, I was like, I said, dude, this sucks, dude. I didn't want to meet you because now I can't come after any of your guys.
Right.
And I was like, because you're a super cool dude, man. I know everyone's trying to go after the same thing. And I jumped on the phone with Bob and I was like, Bob, I just met Jeff Guthrie. And Bob was like, I love Jeff, dude. He's one of my favorites. Yeah, and then, so here we
And
are
then we
today.
ended up
So
talking.
the last time I was on this couch, Jeff had informed me he was leaving Pro West.
Yeah.
So I was trying to talk him into staying at Pro West.
Yeah.
And
True
I,
story.
I do like at the time where Pro West was, there was nowhere to go, right? There was no moving up. A lot has changed in the last 3 years for us, and there's opportunity all over the place where you could move up, but everything happens for a reason. You are where you're supposed to be.
And I also think that since all that happened, you and I have had a lot of conversations about what was going on internally at that time, how you had sort of taken a different role, and you
Yeah.
weren't directly sort of involved with with the sales department anymore. And the internal vibe of the place had definitely shifted, and I think that we were sort of at the top of the bell-shaped curve with that sort of not feeling like it once was, and it was really due to your absence in some ways. And then it sounds like, just based on the conversations that you and I have had, you sort of got the temperature of that and quickly came back in. And since that time, you guys have it's been a totally different
I
thing.
kind of feel like we should get the band back together now that our picture.
Call Sean Ricks.
So yeah, man, that was the last time. It was you, Josiah, Jamie, of course,
And
and then Katie. Yeah.
Oh wait, Katie was here?
Katie was here.
Oh yeah, you were
Yeah.
trying to pitch us to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You told me that you were getting. I swear you. What did he have? Was he driving a Mercedes sedan, like a big body sedan? And he's like, "Dude, I'll give you this car right now." Maybe it was a Cadillac.
It was Escalade.
It was
was
your
Escalade.
And you wanted one for Jamie.
Yeah, she still wants one.
I got a house instead.
Look, dude, I mean, I think in this business, you can, it depends what the dream is, right? Like, you can build your dream or you can help somebody else build their dream. I think you have to know what that is for the guys. And I think you need to be able to create that if you want longevity. It's got to be an opportunity that is a no-brainer and life-changing. It can't just be, hey, you're going to get this extra little thing here or this extra thing there.
I'll never forget. We still to this day talk about
yeah.
it frequently. The Cayman trip. Oh yeah.
Like I'd never in my life had anybody. It's like they're gonna pay for our hotel room on this weird on an island. You only hear about the Cayman Islands on movies. I was like,
Yeah.
what? It was mind blowing to me about. And that trip itself was just a really
That
neat.
first night that we had dinner together, we talk about that all the time. And that's actually Chris Loy's profile photo in my phone is him looking like he's behind me and I'm sitting at the table and he's standing over me and he's making this weird Chris Loy face and I have like I'm taking a selfie of the two of us and just all going around. I think that we did like this gratitude thing where we all just said something that we were grateful for.
I remember exactly what your wife said.
Really?
Yeah.
What was it? Do you remember what Josiah said?
Because it was about me.
You were like, Pro West in this industry has changed our life.
Yeah.
And you were teary-eyed, and I was
gosh,
I was really moved by that.
We were really poor.
Wow.
Really, really poor. Like 3 kids broke. He was trying to go to school and become, work in finance.
Gordon Gecko.
And it was really a tough time. And Riley said, I think he'd be really good at this. And he sat at my dinner table and pitched me on why he thought that Jeff should come work for him, because I was super reluctant because he had just tried selling alarms door to door in Colorado and it was really hard.
It's tough. It's
And
a tough sale, man.
Yeah,
Whoa.
and I was like, not about it. I'm like, and we collectively were working like 4 jobs between the two of us. And Riley said, just come do it like once a week.
So you may remember bits and pieces of it. You and I haven't discussed it. So, I mean, I had been 5 years sober. So you got to understand, the way that I'm wired is I'm wound just tight, right? We were talking about it the other day. And I've always known that there was some kind of achievement that was possible in my life. And I always felt like it was just stuck inside of me because I didn't have any way to express that. When I got sober and Jamie got pregnant with Jack in 2000, Jack was born in 2012, so she got pregnant in 2011. I was a couple years sober, got sober the first time in 2009, 26 years old. And I remember I was just doing AA like crazy. I was sponsoring a ton of people, going to lots of meetings, had a bunch of H&I commitments. Dude, I was the guy known at Crossroads Midtown with the guy that would show up in the summertime with a bike, my tank top on and a backpack, and I would just pedal there, and I would jump into their house meeting and be like, yo, if any of these new guys need a sponsor, like, I'm your guy. And then but I had this idea that if I could be sober, physically sober and happy at the same time, that nothing was impossible. And I got maybe a little bit hypomanic around that thought to the degree that I'm sitting there, I think CNBC's on one morning in our apartment. We were living in Arcadia off of Campbell and 40th Street in this little patio home. And Jack's probably toddling or something. Maybe he's not even there yet. And I see CNBC, the ticker go by. And I'm like, I always saw myself as a white collar dude. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be this big finance guy like Wall Street. Gordon Gecko. And so I say, if I can be sober and happy at the same time, that I don't give it how many felonies I have. It happens to be, 5, but it could be 10. And God will open up a door, God will create a way. So I ended up going to school, and if I would have pursued it, to this day, I'm 3 classes away from my Bachelor of Science degree from W.P. Carey and in finance. And I had this crazy obsession just to finish. And because I don't have a chill personality, there was no like half load. It was always full load. It was always 12, 16 credit semesters and stuff. And some of these classes were, and I'm a smart guy, but we're talking tough stuff. And not just tough, but boring, mind-numbingly boring. Accounting, statistics. But I would just muscled through it, and I got to the point in the final semester where now was the time to sort of start looking for internships and get out there and apprentice, if you will. And then if they like you, they'll put you on as a career. They'll make you a long-standing job offer. And I had 3 interviews and 3 acceptance letters. They hired me. And then a few days or a week later, you go back to do the onboarding paperwork and FBI background check and the I'm so sorry.
And the full report, not just what you got charged with, but like
not just what you got
incident.
Convicted of, but all. We're talking like some of them.
The
police
reports.
Police reports and stuff. It was wild. And I'm sitting there, but I'm just like crazy enough to just screw up my courage and just muscle through it. But ultimately, what happened is that it was the I'm so sorry conversation. The I'm so sorry, there's nothing that we can do. A broker-dealer won't hold your license in this industry. It's FINRA regulated. There's just nothing that anybody can do about it. And I'm 5.5 years sober, and I think I hit a mental, emotional breaking point. I think I had worked myself as hard as I possibly could and muscled as long as I possibly could on my own steam. And that was it. It was the end of a dream. And sort of tied in with this dream was this idea that, like, well, if God can do anything, but he can't do this. It was sort of weirdly wrapped up in this, this relationship with God, or this image or idea of God. And what I found out later, after a lot of years and a lot of processing this, is that I made a common mistake that a lot of alcoholics do, and a lot of people do in general, is that instead of asking God for guidance before I make a decision, I end up in a decision that I've already made without asking for guidance, and I'm asking for help. Hey, God, can you help me get out of this type of thing?
That's how I live my whole life.
Right. It's worked out for you, though.
It has.
So I'm 5.5 years sober. I'm on relapse. Not even maybe a few months, a few weeks here or there. It wasn't like this crazy years and years long, IV drug fueled run. But it was like I did this thing for the next 5 years where I would get sober for a few weeks, a few months. Dude, I got as much as 1.5 years one time. 9 months, a year.
What's your sobriety date?
July 4th, 2019, believe it or not.
I remember it then. I just didn't remember like what year or what. It's been
6
the
years.
time goes by so quickly.
Scary. So I'm getting off of a relapse. Chris Loya is my sponsor.
No better sponsor.
Best guy ever.
Yeah.
Riley hits me up again. I think he tried to hit me up twice prior to that in like 6-month intervals. We bumped into each other at a wedding 6 months prior to that. Picks up the phone, calls me. He says, I think you'd be really good at this. I'm like, dude, I had a really bad experience the year prior. I was up on a blitz or whatever you want to call it up in Denver. I was trying to sell alarms door to door, and I was just not any good at it. I mean, there's times that I'd knock 100 doors in a day. I mean, I made enough to sort of float, but I wasn't getting anywhere, And I was away from Jamie, and I was away from the kids. I was away from my AA here. Ended up relapsing after that whole thing. He calls me, and I'm like, dude, I'm kind of gun shy because of the whole experience that I had, doing this full commission, all that, everything that goes along with that. And, we just had an open-ended conversation, no biggie, but I ended up talking to Chris Loy about it, and I said, dude, what do you think? He's like, so what do you have to do? He's like, he's not even telling me to quit my job and just push all my chips across the table. He just says, go out with him for a couple hours and see if you like it. So he's like, so what, you don't have a couple of hours? Dude, we go out for a couple of hours because I got my dick kicked in so frequently and so heavily selling alarms. Knocking on somebody's door to talk to them about their beat up ass roof was really easy. So in a weird way, it was almost as if it really paved the way. That horrible experience sort of paved the way for my entry into this line of work to be, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it just felt so easy in comparison. So I think it was the second day that we were out, we ended up selling a roof. And it was a $54,000 job, and there was, I think it was $12,000 of profit on it, and he gives me half of it, and I almost started to cry. Because I did the math in my mind. At this time, I'm not in school anymore. We're on Access, healthcare, and EBT food stamps, and I'm working as a server, and I'm really just like, dude, I'm 35 years old, and I'm driving this really beater car, and I'm driving down to work with kids that are, I say kids, they're in their early or mid-20s, and I'm this older guy, and I'm just like, what has happened to my life? I know I'm a smart guy, and bigger than that, I know I'm a hard worker. I know I'm obsessive. Like I can work hard. Where's the opportunity that I feel like is sort of in pending status? I felt like that since I got sober at 26. And I did the math on this check, right? And I'm like, I know how much I need to make every week just to get by and pay the bills. And live relatively comfortably, like take the kids to the splash pads and frozen yogurt or something, or like go to a movie and take Jamie out to dinner or something like that once a week or something. Nothing. There's no savings because when you're living foot to mouth or hand to mouth, you're not saving anything. You're not living that kind of life. But it's $1,000 a week. I knew if I made $1,000 a week, I could keep everything moving, and that's about what I was making after tax and everything else from the restaurant. So I'm doing the math, and I'm like, $6,000 is 6 weeks. I left the restaurant. I put in my 2 weeks right then and there.
Yeah.
And it took from that point of sale, that knock that day, to, you know, it was 90 days before that finally came in, right? Before Jesse paid us when he got around to, you know, it was convenient enough for him to pay us. So 90 days later, but then that's when I put in my 2 weeks, and I've been doing this ever since, and that was June of 2017, July 2017.
Woke up today, smile on my face, may not go my way, still got my face, so I'll be okay. I'll be okay. I'll be okay.
This place is
just that I made some mistakes.
So we found this house. It was a FSBO. We found it through. Jamie found it. We don't even know
I
how.
found it was ugly, but it was the lot.
It had the bones. It had like, so it's got this offset gable right here that kind of has the lines of like a mid-century type gig, and it had enough that we can work with where like if we put, the inside was super, super dated. The folks that lived here for 25 years hadn't probably touched hardly anything. So it was really, really dated linoleum, the whole 9 yards. So what we did is we found it, and it was a good price, 1.5. Anything else, and it's got 3/4 of an acre in the back. Anything else in this area that's turnkey, 3/4 of an acre, you're paying $3 million. So we're like, I guess we're gonna do this.
So this is like the heart of Arcadia right now.
No, this is in
Phoenix?
Is that
Central
Central?
So
and
on
Bethany.
Central, which is just right there, is like the bridle path, like old Central Phoenix, where they have like, where people used to take the horses, because a lot of these used to be ranch properties and stuff. Anyways, built in 1950. 64. But it had the bones of what we wanted. We could see what we could do with it.
Dude, this is a great vibe
Yeah.
as soon as you walk in. What year were you locked up? What years?
I went down, and I think it was the year, it had to have been the year 2001, because I was in jail for 9/11. I remember seeing the second plane hit on the TV. So that was September. I got my number 2001. I got out in 2005. I was 23. I went to treatment the first time after I got out in 2009 in February. Got kicked out because I was using somebody's Suboxone. And then I went back in July 24th was my first sobriety day. So I went back July 24th of 2009.
Dude, what did you go to prison for?
It's armed robbery, burglary, possession of marijuana. So I think it started off armed, and it went aggravated, so it was a class 3. The burglary stuck at class 4, and then the possession charge was a 6. And then the thing is though, is they didn't send me right to prison. I got popped when I was 18. I just turned 18 a month prior. I got popped. I was with some people. There was this dude that burned this chick that I knew out of like a couple pounds of weed or something like that. And none of us liked this guy anyway, so we pulled up to this dude's house at like 3 o'clock in the morning. We had this other girl knock on his door and sort of like, you know, bat her eyes a little bit, and he let her in. Well, once the door was open, we all sort of just walked in, and this dude was, he was dead to rights. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. He's like in bed, you know, and we're like standing over him and, you know, talking all kinds of, you know, whatever, give me your stuff. And he doesn't have anything, dude. And I think just out of spite, we ended up peeling it was a trailer he was living in. It wasn't even a house. We ended up just taking down to like shoes, like old beat up shoes, boom boxes, like those old.
The wrong person to rob.
Dude, it was so stupid. And then this idiot that I was with pulls out this Bowie knife, this 12-inch knife, and starts waving it around. I'm so stupid, I don't even think anything of it. 5 minutes later, or whatever, we leave in like 5. I think the police report was like 8 minutes later or something, from the time that the call was made to the time that we were pulled over. Then we get pulled out at gunpoint in the whole 9 yards, and I got a little pocket knife on me and a quarter bag of weed. And I'm so stupid that the detectives, I'm thinking that detectives are your friends. I didn't realize that they were salespeople, you know? And I go in there and I'm like, yeah, but it wasn't that big of a deal because this is what happened and blah, blah, blah. I basically just, you know, I laid it all out there. And they're like, oh, cool, so armed robbery, and they hit me with everything. And then, so I did 6 months inside in jail. They kicked me out on intense probation. So I don't know if this is still around, but they used to have like a surveillance officer. They track your movements. All the checks that you made from your place of employment had to be written or turned over to the state, so they monitor the money that you were spending and so on and so forth. And I had to check in. I had to drop clean UAs, and they sent me to treatment out of jail in this place all this happened up in Prescott. And they sent me into treatment. Like the state paid for actually a freaking one of the nicer treatment centers that I've ever been into. The state comped the whole visit. So I was there for 30 days. I remember hearing something about AA, but I'm 19, 18 years old at the time. I don't even know that I could hear what these people were talking about. I was just on another planet. I wasn't even remotely done yet. Like the story hadn't been fulfilled, so to speak, I guess. I wasn't there. And I get out, I'm 8 days out of there in a halfway house up in Prescott. Bump into a dude, he gives me some dope. I'm doing a lot of speed at the time. And then I end up absconding. My surveillance officer catches up with me a few days later or whatever, and then they take me back to violate me. I do another 6 months on the violation. I get kicked out again. This time I'm back here in Phoenix where all my family is, because that's the problem, is lack of family support up in Yavapai County. Living with my mom. I can't stay sober. Pop dirty UAs. Send me to a halfway house. Violate me again, I think, or maybe give me a strong warning or whatever. I'm in a halfway house up off of like 27th Avenue and Greenway. This old apartment complex, just beat to apartment complex, and there's hundreds of us living there, and it's a madhouse. And I'm still on another planet, man. I don't hear nothing about AA, or I'm sure there's people there telling it to me, but I didn't have the ears to hear, so to speak. And then I get another hot UA, and I know I'm about to piss dirty because I can't stay sober, and I bounce, and the cops catch up with me a week or something later, and then they hit. Then I go to sentencing. Now I'm fully violated. I go to sentencing, and so in that time, I get popped in jail with a big lighter because we're trying to light tobacco that we have, and they charged me with a Class 5 felony for promotion of prison contraband. And my dumbass public defender is like, dude, they got you dead to rights. I'm like, well, all right, cool. Like, give me a plea bargain. And the plea bargain was a cop into a Class 5 felony for promotion of prison contraband. I'm like, no, yeah, that's no bargain. I get the plea part, but where's the bargain part, And they're like, dude, he's like, dude, this is where he's an idiot. Public defenders, man. But he was like, dude, the state's going to go after you. They're really coming down on this right now. The big lighters, they're coming down on the big lighters. So I pled to the Class 5, and so when I went in front of the judge on my original charges was the 3, I think the presumptive was 3.5. On the 5, it was 1.5 years for this promotion of prison contraband. He stacked it and he gives me 5. And he gives me my 1.5 years up to that point of jail time as time served. So I ended up killing my number at a little over 3 in the joint with the 1.5 years time served in jail. And I was getting high the whole time I was in there. And matter of fact, I was shooting dope when I was in there. And unless you're like either bringing in dope or you're the head dude on the yard, like the head white boy on the yard, you can't stay high. It's really, really hard to stay high every day because it's really expensive and it's not always there, at least back where I was. And so, but I would get high when I could. And I mean, that's how I got hepatitis C, because I was shooting dope in the Department of Corrections. And I remember this time, what I actually did it the first time in there. I'd been in there maybe a couple of months, and some heroin was floating around, and I got this rig, and I remember having the thought to myself, oh, this is how I'm going to get hepatitis C, and I just could not do it. I just could not shoot it, like. I think I was at a place in my life where the mere thought of smoking or snorting drugs just kind of pissed me off, so I had to shoot it. And years later I went through the interferon treatment, and now that's gone, the hepatitis C, but yeah.
When you look at me, 'cause I do not recognize the man inside the mirror. They feast on my dreams. I'm not who I seem to be, and some
What a fun, fulfilling day that we had with you. I really appreciate you letting us come out here and dig deep into your life. And we heard a little bit about your prison story, the multiple relapses until you finally got it right. What stuck out to me and was huge and monumental is when we were sitting here and you said, and Jamie said, there was a time that we were working 4 jobs and we were on Access and didn't know what life looked like. And the finance place, rejected you because of your background and your history, and then you were afforded an opportunity through Riley, in which transpired into Phoenix Roofing and Repair down the road. You've tread the path, right? Everyone wants to see the view, but no one's willing to take the hike, and you have took the hike, right? And you continue hiking bigger and better mountains from here on out. How do you deal with everyday stress? How do you deal with the chaos? What does that look like internally inside Jeff? Because I know that there's a lot. I know that the pressure's high all the time. What do you do, or what would you say to an individual who's possibly in your same situation now today to inform them to keep on going, keep pushing? Life is worth it. You're worth it.
So how do I deal with daily stress? That's a tough one. You're probably better off asking my wife. Not always, not always great. I think for people that are, in a situation where, if we're talking about incarcerated people or people that are actively using or drinking and stuff like that, I think the idea is that I was a lot more afraid. For me, it was a lot more about fear than it was about anything else early on, right? So I knew that I didn't want to end up like other people that I'd seen go before me that had, really crashed and burned and had really, some devastating life experiences and stories. I didn't want to die early. My biggest fear with dying, before my time was not the death itself. It was that, really, that's it. That's all I'm gonna leave. So ultimately, for me, it's been about, okay, so I don't want to be there. So as soon as you ask yourself where you don't want to be, then the reflection of that, what I don't want to be, is this thing that you want to do or be, even if you don't recognize it immediately. So it's like, okay, so I guess I don't really want to die. Then if I don't want to die, what do I want to do? It's nice to have things, and it's nice to have money and financial security and those things. It's like, it'd be nice to have a family. It's like, okay, cool. So now at least I'm starting to get the outline of an image of a life other than this life that I'm living. If there's one piece of advice that I could ultimately give anybody, it would be, and this is the only thing that I think that I've ever done perfectly in my entire life, and I really think that it has been done perfectly, which is that I've just never given up. So Winston Churchill, during the Second World War, Winston Churchill would do these radio broadcasts to try to lift the spirits of the British people, because they were getting just, London and the surrounding cities were just getting bombed by the Germans, right? And one of the things that he's quoted for saying is, it's not some profound quote, but it's like, you'll see it on the motivational posters and shit like that. It's like, never, ever, 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 ever give up. It's like 4 evers or something like that, or 5 evers. But yeah. And I think if there's anything that I've done perfectly, there's another thing, I think it's Confucius or something like that. And it's, it's
don't
like,
quote him.
Don't quote me. Yeah. Don't fact check this. But it's like, get knocked down 7 times, stand up 8. It's like, if there's any proverb or anything that I think I've done perfectly in my life, it's that I've just never given up. Now the question, though, is like, well, why doesn't one give up? Where does one derive a sense of motivation sufficient enough to overcome the internal fears that we have that make us want to give up, or the fears that we have that think that if I am successful, the other shoe's going to drop? Because a lot of times what we do is we do controlled burning of our lives. At least I've seen that in myself. The reason, like a fire, they'll do controlled burning. They'll take all the underbrush, they'll rake it into one area, and then they'll burn it so they can control that section of the burn, so that overgrown underbrush doesn't turn into a massive forest fire. Well, we can do the same thing in our lives, where I start getting pretty successful. This starts, taking off in a certain way. I start getting kind of afraid about it's getting really, really good. What's going to happen if it stops, and then it's like, okay, well, maybe I'll just have like a little relapse. I don't think any of this happens on the level of the conscious thinking or the conscious mind. We have these fears that drive us, and a lot of them happen in the realm of the subconscious. And so once we can start identifying and picturing certain things in our lives that can anchor and create motivation. I never wanted my kids to have, and this isn't anything saying bad about my dad, but I never wanted my children to have the experience with their father that I had with my father. And I made a decision 6 years ago when I got sober again, because I was this close to leaving that treatment center. And I was about to pack my bags and walk out of there. And I thought to myself, if I leave now, will it ever get better? And I had an honest conversation with myself, and I thought to myself, no. And he said, I said to myself, if it sucks right now, and it's so bad that you want to run screaming down the street and pack your shit and get the hell out of here, if it gets any worse than it is right now, will you ever be able to come back? And I thought to myself, no, I don't think I will. And I thought to myself, well, if you don't come back, what does that look like? Let's walk that out. Well, maybe you blink and 30 years go by, because that's the story of life, is that you blink and 30 years go by and you end up not the person that you ever intended to be. You end up some bastardized version of what your goal and your dream was in the first place. And I thought to myself, what does that look like for my wife and kids? And I was like, I don't know, man. You might not have a wife and you might not be very close to them kids. And I thought to myself, Dad, over my dead body, I'd rather die in a plane crash and be awake and aware and conscious every second down to the earth and be, in that than have it to where I had this thing and couldn't get my shit together and I lost this thing, and then my kids have to be the beneficiary, the recipient of my bullshit, and they didn't do nothing to deserve that. I'm like, Dad, no way. And so I stayed. And I think in life that's what you have to do, is that you just have to you have to survive yourself, especially us in Alcoholics Anonymous and in different recovery. It's like sometimes it's just surviving yourself long enough for some door to open, for some clarity to occur, for some opportunity to present itself. And then, once that opportunity presents itself, you don't stop, you don't give up. There's no, oh, well, now I'm 14% body fat and I could just start eating chips again. It's like, no, you have to continue pursuing some higher ideal of who you want to be. So I hope that makes sense. Never give up.
Makes perfect sense. Yeah. Thank you so much. Pleasure.
Dude.
What a pleasure. Yeah, this is awesome, dude. This is awesome.
Smile on my face, may not go my way. Still got my faith, so I'll be okay. I'll be okay. I'll be okay. Running our race, just at our pace. Made some mistakes, but learned a few things, so I'll be okay. I'll be okay. I'll be okay.
Ed mentioned earlier he's tightly wound. I would say it was probably month 1 or 2 where I get this phone call from Colin. I said, what's up, dude? He goes, Jeff threatened to throw an adjuster off the roof. You've come a long way since those days.
He just doesn't talk to him anymore.
Yeah.